Do you like fast-paced action? Do you like kick-ass music? Do you like horror? If the answer is yes, then you'll love DUSK. This is basically the same formula for success as Doom, but DUSK leans further into the horror aspect. DUSK takes inspiration from old-school first-person shooters like Doom, Quake, and Blood, while also taking inspiration from classic horror movies incredibly well. Horror just so happens to be my favorite movie genre, so we will definitely be admiring some of that inspiration throughout this video. DUSK is broken up into 3 unique episodes. The first episode, which is named The Foothills, opens up in a dark basement with a creepy voice saying to kill the intruder. This intro accomplishes so much. It garners our curiosity on who is the voice that we heard and what are we intruding on. It wastes none of our time as it gets us right into the action, and it quickly introduces us to the horror aspect of this game, with the general creepiness of this scene and the scary chainsaw-wielding enemies swarming right at us. In this first room, we are introduced to the flashlight, which is always a promise of spookiness ahead. We are also introduced to the physics items in this game as we move these barrels to find our first secret area. And also this gas can that we're able to pick up and shoot to reveal our second secret that opens up into a whole nother area. How much they're able to introduce us to in such a small starting room is nothing short of brilliant. The enemies we saw in the basement are named Leathernecks, who are obviously drawing inspiration from Texas Chainsaw Massacre's Leatherface in name and weapon choice, but who honestly more closely resemble Jason Voorhees in Friday the 13th Part 2 in appearance, just with the chainsaw in his hands, of course. We definitely do see Texas Chainsaw Massacre influence though, like this kitchen here that looks like the work of Leatherface, with the text even saying, "What a massacre." Also, this portrait nearby looks like it could be Leatherface, and I will say that this one particular Leatherneck jump scare did have me flashing back to the great jump scare from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. We start out with the dual-wielded sickles that are so satisfying to use with how swiftly you strike enemies. You can use them to destroy objects in the environment, and the most satisfying thing of all is the noise it makes when you whip them out. We'll get a glimpse of the dual-wielded pistols in action here against these mages, who we will see plenty of throughout the game, and then find our first shotgun with the groovy text on screen referencing another horror movie in Evil Dead 2. Groovy. The shotgun is very satisfying to use, which can pretty much be said about every gun in this game as the gunplay is excellent across the board, but the shotgun is extra satisfying to use thanks to the spinning reload animation that will have you feeling like the T-800 in T2. That is somehow already the 4th part 2 of a movie we've mentioned, which was not planned. How about that? What makes the shotgun even better is that you can dual wield these puppies. The arsenal of weapons is great in DUSK, and we do also get our hands on a super shotgun, but the dual wielded shotguns were my go-to weapon throughout my playthrough. The other weapons we get our hands on are the assault rifle, the hunting rifle, which rips really nicely, the crossbow, which can penetrate through multiple enemies, leaving behind nice clouds of blood along its path, the mortar, which is a grenade launcher that you can remote detonate the grenades with if you don't direct hit the enemy. The riveter, which is so good it's pretty much OP if you ask me, but does have the drawback of self-inflicted splash damage. There's the sword, which is sweet as a melee alternative to the sickles, and the best weapon in all of DUSK, the bar of soap. If you haven't played this game, I'm sure that sounded like a joke, but actually the bar of soap will kill any enemy in a single shot, and there's a bar of soap hidden in every level. I thought this was funny, and is one of several ways this game knows how to have fun despite its dark and scary setting. Like I said, the arsenal in this game is great, maybe not super exciting on paper, but the gunplay and how it pairs with the movement is stupendous. There are also power-ups that increase your fire rate, which is a ton of fun, and there's also a power-up that activates bullet time if you stop moving. I'm pretty much always moving in a game like this, and not always reading the text on screen during the action, so I admittedly did not realize how this power-up worked the first few times. The first episode of DUSK is largely a farmland setting showing off the fictional rural town of Dusk, Pennsylvania, and of course the use of sickles as a weapon in a farm setting has gotta make you think of Children of the Corn. The Leatherneck enemies fit this farmland setting, while the mages help build up the mystery of the cult, with the symbol on their robes that also appears on walls throughout the world. A farm isn't complete without some farm animals, so we fight these demonic-looking goats. The name of the goats is Black Phillip, which is another horror movie reference, as that is the name of the goat from Robert Eggers' The Witch. I love how the farm has these scarecrows as a nice decoration. The creepy corn maze is such a great idea for this type of setting, and oh god, the scarecrows come to life. I figured this was going to happen, but they set it up so well with the first couple scarecrows not coming to life that this actually got a jump out of me. The scarecrows were my favorite enemy of episode 1, with the whole scare factor of them coming to life or not. I love how casually they walk towards you, and that their shotgun shoots out a spread of projectiles that are not hit scanned, so you can dodge them if you're far enough away. This was brilliant with this scarecrow watching over the trapdoor we have to go into. I did not trust it at all, but it never came to life and was just there to mess with us. I also love how, depending on the weapon, when you kill them, they either go flying like a ragdoll or explode into this shower of straw shrapnel. The other enemies we face in episode 1 are these rats, who we leave behind a flurry of meat chunks and blood as we blast a swarm of them here. There are the fork maidens, who are pretty tough and creepy. There's these soldiers whose presence foreshadows the environments ahead in episode 2, and these scientists who we only get this glimpse of in episode 1. As far as the levels in episode 1 go, I really enjoyed the rural Pennsylvania and coal mine vibes. I grew up in New Jersey, which means I've spent a lot of time in Pennsylvania, so it was cool to have that be the setting, for me at least. Those PA vibes hit even harder under a starry sky, making you feel like you're at Cherry Springs State Park. These levels are full of surprises, like the ground suddenly crumbling under your feet and dropping you into this trap that is undoubtedly a nod to this area in the first Doom game, which I mentioned in my first Doom video as an example of the great lighting, and DUSK implements some great atmospheric lighting in their take on this room as well. I love how this game accomplishes having cool and creepy visuals with such basic graphics. That never gets old to me in this genre, and we'll definitely see more of that later on. It also impresses me how this game actually got some scares out of me, and honestly my claustrophobia had me feeling a bit anxious at times, which sounds like a bad thing, but I think is a compliment to a good horror game to arouse those feelings out of you. This section exemplifies this best with these tight mineshaft corridors and the creepy fork maidens closing in on you. You don't feel safe as exits turn out to be brick walls and the voice in the sky chimes in with a laugh. Also, man, I thought I was tripping, like did I really just see a ghost? Which not until editing this video could I confirm that is indeed what I saw. Could not find the ghost outside of that drive-by though, so I felt like I was going crazy. Another nice horror detail is the writings on the wall that we see all throughout the game that are creepy and also further piqued my curiosity of what this cult is all about and who is this voice we keep hearing along the way. Also, shout out Silence of the Lambs with this great movie reference here.
It rubs the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again.
Well, say it, don't spray it, brother. Dang.
As for the music in this game, it's so good. Both atmospherically and in the moments where it picks up to intensify moments of action. The soundtrack was composed by Andrew Hulshult, who we previously mentioned on this channel as one of the composers for Doom Eternal's Ancient Gods DLCs. No wonder he was the one given the impossible task in following up Mick Gordon's Doom work, because DUSK's soundtrack is incredible. This song had my head absolutely nodding. Badass, heavy, and creepy. The perfect trifecta for a game like this. We also get some electronic sounds injected in, akin of 9 Inch Nails, which is only right given Trent Reznor's impact on the genre with his work on the Quake soundtrack.
Impressive.
This soundtrack rules, and we'll check out some more songs in a little bit. While we did mention the common enemies we fight in episode 1, there's also a ton of boss battles in this game, which made me very happy. The first boss is the Intoxicator, which is a silly name that prepares us for the not overly serious tone of this game. The boss is nothing too special in the combat department, but I do like the boss room.
My pet. You'll pay for that.
The next boss battle is against the Duke brothers, whose name, along with their outfits, is a reference to the founder of the KKK, which made it extra enjoyable to shoot them in the face. You can pretty much just run in a circle, dodging their heat-seeking fireballs while shooting for this fight. Once there's only one left, you can bob and weave this beam, and down go the Klansmen. And then the finale of episode 1 is this flaming horse named the Experiment. This was the best boss so far, I thought. It had me sliding around to dodge its barrages of fireballs, which was exciting. And even better is that once you think it's over, they surprise you with a second experiment, but also a fire rate power-up to help you out. I replayed this boss a few times for fun, trying out different weapons, and really smoked it here with the hunting rifle. This was a solid ending to episode 1. Episode 2 is titled The Facilities, and that's what we get with a bunch of military and strange facilities. I love how the start of a new episode has us losing our weapons except the sickles, just like the start of a new episode in the first Doom game. We will see many of the possessed soldiers in this episode, and a more industrial setting with levels that will allow us to climb around more by either platforming the good old-fashioned way, or by using this power-up that allows us to climb walls like Spider-Man. This note up here tells us to do a flip, which I did not know you could actually do a backflip until seeing this loading screen later on, so my dumbass just flipped my guns instead. But made sure to come back later to actually do a backflip, so here's that. Or what about a backflip while doing gun flips? Oh yeah. In terms of enemies in episode 2, we'll see more of those scientists we only saw from behind earlier. The new enemies are the welder, who will explode after you kill them. There are these auto turrets in the facilities. There are the Grand Wizards, who are stronger mages and are basically the Duke brothers being reused along with their heat-seeking fireballs. The best enemy introduced in episode 2, and maybe the best enemy in the whole game, is the Wendigo. The introduction to them is so good, with this writing on the wall saying "Don't trust your eyes" as your flashlight flickers and you hear the unsettling sound of breathing approaching. You see their blood footsteps approaching as well, but I am either blind or was truly scared because it took me way too long to notice the footsteps. The Wendigos just dial up the horror so much whether you see them coming or not. The effects of them making their presence known both audibly and visually is great in achieving that horror. I love this clip where I see the barrels moving to know where they are. The Wendigos make things interesting every time they make an appearance. I don't know where the Wendigo name comes from, but whenever they appear, my body doesn't know when to go to the bathroom, and I soil myself. The last new enemy of episode 2 is the Cowgirl, who is this twisted-looking half-woman, half-machine experiment who we first see as a boss named Mama. The Mama fight is in this cool arena with floating platforms that make the boss battle a bit more tricky than the previous fights. I found it easiest to stay tight to the silo in the middle and have her chase you around it, but you still need to watch your step. Falling won't kill you, but it will take some health off and respawn you out in the open. I fought this boss a few times again for fun, and this time noticed when Mama was lit on fire, you can see the fire damage showing her health degrading down to the 5th decimal place, which I thought was cool to see. The next boss is Big John, who talks to us in a hilariously over-the-top impression of Arnold Schwarzenegger. I smoked him so quickly with the OP Riveter that I had to replay this fight just to soak up some more of that Arnold dialogue.
What now? Come on! Do it! Come on!
The next boss is the Son of Intoxicator, who, as the name would suggest, is a smaller version of the first boss we faced. This was another boss that you can just absolutely smoke with the Riveter, which had me feeling disappointed that this gun really trivialized the boss battles in this game, being that it is so strong. But just as I'm having that thought, another boss battle starts in the same room with 2 mamas named the Twins, and that complaint was immediately erased from my mind, as the Riveter couldn't carry you through this entire endeavor. Having my complaint be answered in real time put a big smile on my face and was a moment that solidified the greatness of this game for me. And then if that wasn't good enough, the final boss of episode 2 was the Guardian, who you really could not just rely on the Riveter for because of his massive health pool and also the challenge of avoiding the splash damage in these tight corridors. I got the achievement for teleport gibbing the Guardian, which I don't even know how that happened. It was just dumb luck for me, but I wanted to earn the victory, so I went back to my save to fight him for real. He teleports around and does big damage against you, which made this fight very tough, and I had not thought that about any of the bosses so far. So my prayers were answered once again here. He kicked my ass several times, which made it extra satisfying to take him down. The Guardian boss battle marks the end of episode 2, but we need to talk more about the levels of episode 2 before we jump into the next episode. The levels are way different in episode 2, leaving behind the farms of episode 1. A memorable level was this level titled Neo-Babel, which brings us to this facility in the sky as a reference to the biblical Tower of Babel. This level also just so happened to be the first time I realized you have a cigar in your inventory that you can puff on, a fitting discovery as the smokestacks puff away as well. Also, while you have the cigar out, your crosshair changes to that S chain everyone would draw in their notebook in high school, which I don't understand why that's in the game, but I love it. An interesting thing they do in episode 2 and 3 is dropping you into these levels where the fall breaks your flashlight. The first time this happens, it makes things a bit uncomfortable to navigate, but there's still this red light to work with. The second time, we take a lengthy drop into the unknown with this nice visual display and then find ourselves in sheer darkness without a flashlight. This gets you way out of your comfort zone, adding tension to just walking around. This is also a nice display of the lighting and graphics in this game, with the fog cutting through the dark and the ability to use gunfire to light your way. The cherry on top of this nerve-wracking section is them sending a Wendigo at us in the dark right before we get our flashlight back. Terrifying. Even when you do have your flashlight, the game uses darkness and that red lighting really well to add to the atmosphere. I mentioned in the beginning of this video that there's a lot of horror film influence in this game. A horror film franchise that I was really surprised to not see mentioned online as an influence for this game is A Nightmare on Elm Street. Most Nightmare on Elm Street movies have at least one scene in an industrial boiler room area with red lighting. Well, much of Dusk Episode 2 lives right in that same aesthetic.
No, please! No!
with the Infernal Machine level really looking like a place Freddy would love to run around in. Episode 2 also has a level named the Escher Labs, named after MC Escher, who was the artist famous for his trippy art style that messed with your perception and frequently used staircases to do so. As we progress through this level, it transforms into an MC Escher painting with stairs on walls and things flipped upside down. Well, guess who else has an MC Escher sequence? Certainly not the franchise's finest moments, but A Nightmare on Elm Street does also have an MC Escher sequence like Dusk. Also, the name of the boy running away in this scene is Jacob, which is also the name of someone we will meet later on in Dusk. How about that? This is a low point in Freddy Krueger's career, but the Dusk level is cool. Traversing through the sideways upside down areas, you teleport out into this scary space ribcage all of a sudden, and then back into the labs for some more trippy visuals. It was also neat going through areas and then coming back later and seeing how the areas have changed. But my favorite level of episode 2 was the Erebus Reactor. Erebus is apparently the personification of darkness in Greek mythology, which I'll be honest, I had no idea until I just googled it. Name aside, this level is sweet. We walk up these stairs and there's just enemies all around, sprawled out throughout the ground floor, waiting for us in these garages. It's a big open area, but with a lot to do. We can walk around the perimeter up top where there's even more enemies. We can walk on all these beams across the map to get atop the reactors. We jump into the smoke onto this structure in the middle, and there's even another layer of the map below in the lava. I like the look of the reactors sparking while smoke also pours out from the center of the map, and the music was hitting here as well, making the reactors and smoke feel like they're ripping even harder. Once we get through this area, we walk up into this outdoor area with massive silos and darkness beyond, which I guess is where the Erebus name comes in. This is also where we fought the Arnold Schwarzenegger boss. We're able to open the roof to reveal skyscrapers towering over us, which piqued my curiosity of where on earth are we? You also get a little sunlight lens flare if you look up, which I just love seeing how they animate things in this game with the retro art style. We already saw the end of episode 2 earlier with the Guardian boss battle, which means we are now ready to jump into the final episode of Dusk, the Nameless City. The episode begins out front of this cathedral where we're given a sword and a tip that if at 100 health or above, you can charge the sword for a silent takedown. This was fun to mix it up with a bit of optional stealth, taking down enemies from behind with the sword, but that did not last long until I got back to blasting. The new enemies in episode 3 are the priestesses, whose head looks like Sauron from Lord of the Rings, and who make this eerie sound when you aggro them that sounds like a rusty door hinge. At one point we go underwater and fight some fish that will spit at you. We also get this silly Dr. Seuss reference of one fish, two fish, red fish, dead fish after killing the fish. And we also fight Chomper, the fish boss, who is pretty much just a bigger version of the regular fish. I just said fish like 10 times in a row. I promise I won't say it again for the rest of the video. Another new enemy is the cart dog, which I love the design of how they wheel around and then dart at you. It's funny that when I'm organizing my clips for these videos, I'll usually just make up a name for things I don't know the actual name of. This was my first time playing Dusk, so I did not know the names of practically anything, and the silly name I labeled all of these clips with was Cart Dog. So I laughed when I went to write this script and saw that it was actually called a cart dog. I also love that the cart dogs are challenged by ledges that they can't just roll over. Unintentional dog pun there. And I love the shrapnel their cart leaves behind when you kill them, which you'll see here as we fight them in this awesome room. The new enemies in this episode are from land, sea, and air, as we have these new flying enemies called Bone Monks. I don't have much to say about the Bone Monks, but remote detonating mortars was my favorite way to take them down. We are introduced to another flying enemy in these bone balls. These things are so ridiculous, I love it. I thought they looked like a virus or something like that under a microscope, and they spray skulls out at you. Their virus-like appearance felt perfectly fitting in this room that looks like we're in the belly of a beast. And with one of them boxed in here, we have a nice clip of the unsettling sounds they make. The bone ball is great, but my favorite enemy of episode 3 is one that we first encounter while our flashlight is broken. These things are called the Horror. They look kind of silly in reality, but when they are running full steam at you in the dark like this, they are terrifying. They feel right at home in the environments we encounter them in, and the best thing about them is how they die. They fly backwards and then fold into instant rigor mortis with this sound effect to match. It's great.
I like the way you die, boy.
Something else new in episode 3 is the abundance of crystals of madness. I do believe I found 1 or 2 of these before episode 3, but they are way more prevalent in episode 3. If you toss one of these at an enemy, they will join your side and fight the other enemies. I had fun throwing one of these and then seeing what would happen. I love sitting back and watching these enemies slap each other in the face. This priestess had no one to go after, I guess, so they just stood here until I killed them. I had a crystal going here for this ambush. I couldn't even tell who was fighting on my side in this madness, and then this Wendigo darts off, so I guess it was them. Also, this mama took off on a mission. I don't even know what her destination was because she was just booking it past enemies. And here she is still going through this house. I don't know where she's going, but watch out. Episode 3 was the only time I experienced a double dose of the fast fire power-up, which was fun, but then we happened ourselves upon a triple dose that really provided a nice shot of dopamine to the brain. In episode 3, we get some nice dark but colorful lighting that envelops the cobblestone walls. You'll never guess, but these red and green areas once again reminded me of A Nightmare on Elm Street. Particularly A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, as we see here with red and green lights on stone walls. Also, the colors of the stained glass in the back felt similar to this awesome rainbow staircase we see in Dusk. Walking down or falling down this staircase was sweet to look at, and the music is great here as well. The comparison of the rainbow stairs to that Nightmare on Elm Street clip might seem like a stretch, but if you jump to Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5, one of those MC Escher staircases from earlier leads to the stained glass on the ground, which might still be a stretch, but felt like a fair comparison in my mind. Another prime example of the beauty this game can achieve with retro graphics is this snowy scene, which looks great and looks even better with the clouds of blood and chunks of bone monk raining down as well. You get all sorts of good stuff in the episode 3 levels. There's this Honey, I Shrunk the Kids section where you enter this area where everything is huge, making you feel tiny. This area also delivers this hilarious mini-boss. Literally a mini-boss, as he looks like he's far away at first, but it's just the perspective of the hallway, and he's actually a tiny leatherneck named Little Neck. You can kill him very easily, this was just a funny secret, and I love that Willy Wonka-like door that he comes out of.
Hey, the room is getting smaller. No, it's not. He's getting bigger.
He's at it again.
A great level was this town square level with a ton of verticality and different buildings you can enter. The verticality even goes beneath the surface as we enter a well to raise the water level and then are able to swim around the level. Good stuff here. In one of the last levels, we teleport through previous areas of the game and then end up back in the basement where it all began, which I thought was pretty neat. Another interesting level is this one where you need to flip gravity a bunch of times like a puzzle to make our way through the level. When you flip gravity and then drop through these trees, it felt a lot like those shots in the Evil Dead movies where the camera is flying through the trees. This wasn't my favorite level, but I appreciate them trying something different here. My actual favorite level of episode 3 and Dusk as a whole was Blasphemy. In this level, we'll go to the corners of the map and press a button that sends a wave of enemies at us. This is not anything revolutionary, but I thought it was enjoyable, and running around this church in the middle of nowhere under blood red skies was hitting a spot for me. Where this level really won me over was inside the church, after we complete the waves of enemies. We're told to shoot this altar, and the windows start blowing out as we do so, building up some horror. The screen reads, "The rising winds brings the stench of rotten meat." I have no idea what that means, but the music starts to intensify, as does the sound of wind swirling. As the church starts to shake, I look outside and see this. The music and everything here is so intense and amazing. This for me was the best example of what this game can achieve even with dumbed down graphics. This moment felt so visceral, I was so into it, and I really felt the panic of not knowing what to do as a tornado trapped me in the church. This is a feeling that games with the biggest budgets and most cutting-edge graphics struggled to get out of me at times. So this just really impressed me and was my most memorable moment in this game for those reasons. Watching the tornado level the church from afar was satisfying too, and I still wasn't sure what was going to happen, if the tornado was going to try to come after us or what, so I even started shooting at the tornado at one point, which is hilarious in retrospect because it was just passing through. After the church is leveled, we drop down into a hole in the floor, into this cool hallway with blue walls contrasting the red we've been surrounded by up above. And we get the best use of the crossbow all game, which was satisfying just hearing how many bodies it was ripping through. This hallway actually leads to that rainbow staircase we looked at earlier, as well as some other areas, but the tornado is what won me over, and the tornado alone is what made this my favorite level in the game, so I just wanted to focus on that. Something that the game teaches you in the early going is that you can bunny hop around to move much faster. This, as well as the ability to slide, adds a ton of fun freedom of movement in this game that I honestly did not use much of in combat until this level here, which is the penultimate level of Dusk. This whole level takes place here on this floating blue island with trees that look like a network of brain synapses or maybe something more paranormal. Similar to the level we just looked at, we will have waves of different enemies sent our way, but the difficulty here is dialed up to 11. The beginning wasn't too tough, but once you get a few waves in, I was struggling. I started throwing myself off the map as a cheap getaway when I was in trouble because I just wasn't sure what to do. And then it dawned on me, oh my god, I forgot about bunny hopping. This may sound like a no-brainer to many of you out there, but playing on Cero Miedo, or Zero Fear difficulty, which is basically Doom's ultra-violence difficulty, I got through this game just fine without bunny hopping in combat, so I had forgotten about it. That all changed here though, and once I started doing it, yeah, it was a lot of fun flying around like this. It almost made this too easy. I felt unhittable as long as I kept moving, but it was fun nonetheless. This was a great way to begin putting a bow on this game, providing us with a difficult challenge that also runs us through all the enemies we've faced along the way. What else could you ask for in a penultimate level, really? The finale of this level brings back a couple familiar bosses, but all at the same time, with two of the experiments and the Guardian appearing together as the so-called Watchers of the Gate. The amount of projectiles flying on screen here is nuts. You can honestly just bunny hop in a circle around the map, which again I feel like the strategy trivializes the combat in this game, but that's alright. When the dust clears, we walk up to this portal, and the voice in the sky has some words for us before we enter the final level.
Excellent. Come to us.
The final level is Dusk. I love that the level is named Dusk, and I love the look of these skies that are beautifully colored to look like dusk, as in the time of day. Here we'll need to grab some crystals. While we're here, let's take a quick look at this face on the wall. We'll use the crystals to complete a quick ritual, and guess who cannot stop bunny hopping everywhere now? Once we finish the ritual and hop into this portal, we'll come face to face with the voice that's been talking to us throughout the game. Well, not actually face to face until we swing around to this side and see the face that was just in that portrait a minute ago. This face belongs to Jacob, the leader of the cult we have been fighting throughout the game, and we now engage in a 1v1 dance of bunny hopping around the screen in a true mano-a-mano fight. In my video about Doom Eternal's Ancient Gods DLCs, I had complained that I wish the Dark Lord boss battle was more of a true mano-a-mano fight without the Dark Lord in a mech suit. Someone had commented that Dusk had delivered exactly what I was asking for, and that's absolutely true. This was fun, flying around trying to land shots on him as he flies around too. My favorite way to hit him was actually by leading him with the mortar remote detonation, which slows down the fight in a way, but was fun nonetheless. We get his health bar low, which reveals that we are more worthy than Jacob, and the cult turns on him and finishes the job for us. After finishing Jacob, this path opens up with a light at the end of the tunnel and this ethereal church-like music playing, almost like we're entering the afterlife, but let's just listen in.
He was worthy, you know, and he accomplished so much. But then, you came along. You who were stronger. You who were faster. You I like better. Who did you expect at the end of all of this? God? The devil, perhaps? No. It's just me.
What a badass intro to the actual final boss. Again, the graphics of this game might be dumbed down, but the presentation and experience of this game is top tier. Listen to this music too with this chugging guitar riff. I had no idea what to do first, as this final boss, whose name I won't try to pronounce, takes no damage when you shoot him. It felt really good when I finally realized what I had to do in shooting the cracks in the ceiling to shine light and make him vulnerable. We'll have to either jump to the other side or jump up into the air using the jump pads to dodge his attacks, and repeat the process of shooting the cracks in the ceiling until we finish the job. Considering the limitations that a game of this genre has, this boss battle was perfect, I thought, with the mechanics that it utilizes. I was already convinced this game was a masterpiece before the final level, so to have back-to-back satisfying boss battles in the final level was just a perfect cherry on top. And even more, we also get this sweet outro.
Wonderful, yes. Who you were before is insignificant. Who you are now is inconceivable. But here you shall remain till I have need of you again. For one must always reign beneath dusk.
This game was so much more of a complete experience than I ever expected. You know, there's a lot of secrets in this game that you can reach in a variety of ways. Well, not until after I finished the game did I even know that each episode has an entire secret level as well. For episode 1's secret level, I had found this switch on my initial playthrough but could not find the door that it opened until looking it up later, which was a trap door you need to jump on top of the corn maze to find. I honestly did not find this first secret level to be anything too special, but was happy to have more levels to play and loved how you reach the level through the corn maze. The episode 2 secret level I found to be a bit more interesting with the parkour intro, some cool lava areas including this treacherous path of jump pads. The music here is also fire and stopped me right in my tracks here. Whew. You get a little more lava parkour at the end and that'll do it. My favorite secret level was definitely episode 3's. How wonderfully disgusting is it that you can hear this wet sound from the organic walls in here? And the wall says to flush our sins away, which means our entrance to the secret level is through a toilet. We arrive in the Ratacombs, where we pretty much fight waves of rats, which we really did not do to this degree in the other levels, so it was nice that it was something different in this level. And we also get a giant slippery rat down here as a boss. Hell yeah. When you kill the boss, it says, "I hate rats." In maybe a little Indiana Jones reference, maybe, not sure. We must once again flush our sins away to finish the level, so down the pipe we go again. Starting and ending this level by flushing ourselves down a toilet is my favorite thing about this level, for sure. You can also flush objects down the toilet throughout the whole game, which is just some good old-fashioned fun. And in this instance, this enemy happened to land on the toilet, and I was able to flush him, which made me so happy. Also, if you were wondering, this is how toilets are flushed down under in Australia. So that pretty much does it for Dusk. I should mention that there is also a Horde mode, which I'm not really interested in myself, but I love that it's an option, and I really love that Blasphemy is one of the map options for the Endless mode, and the Tornado does indeed roll through. Also, the jump pads send you way higher than usual here, because why not? I should also mention that I've heard Dusk had great deathmatch multiplayer, but I did not see the option to play that for me on PS5, so please feel free to let me know in the comments what I am missing or did miss out on with the multiplayer. I also need to mention that I actually decided to play Dusk based off a recommendation someone commented onto one of my Doom videos, so thank you to Al Capone Productions for the recommendation. You were absolutely right, I love this game, and I hope you liked the video. If you made it this far into the video, I appreciate you watching. Please let me know in the comments what your favorite thing about Dusk is, or your favorite level if you have one. I was stuck playing Dusk on PS5, but after I captured all my footage for this video, I did happen to get my hands on a new laptop that can run Steam, so I have already purchased the 2 other games by New Blood Interactive in A Medieval and Ultra Kill. I'm not sure when I'm going to get around to playing them, but I am definitely looking forward to it. And yes, I know I should have bought a PC instead of a laptop, but I do half of my editing on the couch and the other half at my desk, so it is what it is. Alright, Dusk dudes, I'll see you on the next one.